Black here from Castle Black Gaming, where I get right to the point with all of my guides so you can get back out into the verse. Today I wanted to give a loadout for the Anvil Hurricane for those who love to get their multi-person fighting ship groove on. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and if you need more help or just want to chat about all things Star Citizen, consider joining our Discord channel. All links down below. Now with all that out of the way, let's get to it. So this ship is one I have been asked about a few times in regards to being good as a multi-person ship, and it is one that I sadly do not own, but I have used a few times and recently took out solo to get some footage. It is on my list of fighters to try out more since I do game with my wife and feel like it's a great upgrade from the Cuddy Black's two-person fighting. Now since this is a multi-crew ship, you are going to get the full bang only if you have that second person, which is who this build will be for, so let's get started with the build. If you've seen my loadout, you know I go with the system components first, as usual, so for the shields I suggest going with the FR76. It is a very good size 2 shield that I always recommend and can be found at Crew L1 and the other locations mentioned on the cool graphic displaying now. So for the size 1 quantum drive, there is really only one choice in that category, and that is the Atlas, which you can pick up at her L5, and believe me when I say that it's well worth the flight out there to get it because it will save you so much time later on in speed when you're traveling. Now for the power plant, you can grab the JS400, which is available at her L2. Now you can stop right there and omit the coolers if you want to save some money with this build being fairly cheap as far as builds go, since because it mostly only has one component instead of two like some ships. So far this will cost you whatever my tally is rolling on the screen right now. The coolers are not really needed until a component revamp is done, but because I know some of you still want to have them upgraded, you can grab 2 of the glaciers, which can be found at Port Tressler, and the new tally will now show for you right here. Now on to the dessert. For the weapons, I have 2 options you can go with. The first of which is a laser repeater option. For the 2 pilot control guns, I went with 2 size 4 CF447 Rhinos, which are available at her L2, where that power plant from earlier was located. Moving up to non-gimbaled guns gives you some good firepower, and I'm going to assume that since you are flying this fighter, that you're not a beginner who feels the need for gimbals. Now as for the man turrets, I would go with 4 of the CF337 Panthers, also found at her L2, to round out what will be 6 laser repeater guns of glory on this ship, and should be a blast to fight in with your comrades. So if you're going after bigger bounties and those ships just aren't going down fast enough, or you have a hard time penetrating those shields, then you'll want to swap these laser repeaters to a laser cannon build. So for those 2 pilot controlled guns, I would go with 2 of the Omniski 12s found at her L5, where you picked up that quantum drive at earlier. For the 4 man turrets, I would put in 4 of the FL33s, which you can also pick up at her L5, and this should allow you to make your presence felt with those larger bounty ships. Now another option with the man turrets, and this will be up to your gunner, is to just leave those 4 CF337s in there, as some prefer those, so work that out with your gunner. Also remember that switching to laser cannons means they fire slower, so those pesky light fighters might gain an advantage on you and will be harder to hit. Swap between the laser cannons and repeaters as needed. Now as for the missiles, I feel like this ship is lacking in that department, but that's probably because I am accustomed to flying other ships, but 4 size 2s just seems too little to me, so therefore if you know anything about me, you know I love downsizing those missile racks to allow for more smaller missiles. Grab yourself 4 of the MSD-221 racks from her L2 so you can then have 8 size 1 missiles on your Hurricane. Now while you're at her L2, go ahead and grab yourself 8 Task Force 1 missiles, or you can use Pioneer 1s if you fancy those, which are found at her L5, but I know most of you prefer those Task Forces, and the difference is really negligible, so either will do. If you absolutely want those stock 4 size 2 missiles, at the very least you need to swap them for electromags, since electromagnetics are currently the missiles that hit more often than any other missile type, until a component revamp is done, and you'll want 4 of the Dominator 2s found at her L3 if that's what you decide to do. No judgment here. Alright, and that's gonna do it for this spectacular ship build for the Anvil Hurricane. I want to hear from those of you who use this with a buddy and how you like it. Is it the premier 2-person heavy fighter, or has the Scorpion replaced it? If I'm being honest here and I had my choice of ships to own, I'd probably go with the RSI Scorpion, at least right now, but some of that is just X-Wing hype, admittedly. Regardless, I know there are some of you out there who might actually be die-hard Anvil fans and aren't having any of that Star Wars foolishness. Remember to be kind to your fellow gamer. Don't get nasty into Star Wars versus Trek wars. There's room for both. And stay positive, citizens.